Hey, I'm Zack, Derich, head of product here at Camber. We're here at ACT in Las Vegas in our booth. I just want to show you Camber Core, which is our charge management system. We use that to help manage the chargers that we are at our customer sites to make sure that they're up and running, they're performing well. We can monitor their usage, track utilization, find out if there's any problems, proactively monitor and solve those problems before they present problems to the customer. Do energy management, a number of different things, but I'll kind of show you the product here a little bit. We have here, this is a demo setup. These are kind of representative customers. We have an example school district, some example transit operations, a distribution warehouse. We call it map view, just kind of a geographical layout. You can see each of the sites, the number of chargers. The donut chart there represents the number of ports that are in use charging. There's a lot of different views. This is our map view. This is what we call our dashboard. Essentially, is an individual tile for each charge port. This is a really common view we'll use to monitor, see what's happening. You've got real-time data coming back from every single charger. We can track what vehicle's plugged in, how much power is being provided to the vehicle, how much energy is in the battery, the overall site power, which can be really helpful to monitor the overall site power consumption, which plays into the cost of ownership, cost of operation of the depot, where you might have to pay for demand charges or worry about time of use charging. Understanding the real-time power consumption helps monitor that more effectively. The color coding here represents the different statuses of charging. So green means good, charging's happening. You get the state of charge of each vehicle. Here's a charger that has gone into a suspended state because of the charge management that's happening. We can tell if a charger's offline, if it's faulted. We can get all that information here from this view. Another interesting view is this timeline view. It's kind of a Gantt chart of, let me scroll down here, of charging activity at that depot. So each of these bars here is a charge session. You can see the vehicle name, the state of charge, the power graph of what's happened throughout that charge session. This can be helpful for going back in time and try to figure out, okay, what's happening. For active sessions, we can see when charging is expected to complete. We can even show the expected vehicle departure time, and that way fleet operators can understand whether charging will complete by the time the vehicle needs to be put into service. Another way we monitor the chargers. These are all helpful screens that help us understand the data coming back from chargers. Often customers will have a flat screen like this in their charging depot, maybe have it up on the wall, they can glance up and see what's happening. For people who don't have access to their computer or aren't standing in front of the screen, we have proactive alerts. So these alerts are running all the time, looking at the data that's coming in, and can automatically trigger emails or SMS to flag either charge sessions that ended before the vehicle is fully charged, faults in the chargers going offline. So there's kind of an automated aspect to this too, where we can apply rules-based detection to the data coming in. Additionally, one of the important things that we really emphasize here at Camber is understanding the overall site behavior and the performance of the site as it relates to uptime and utilization of the site. So we can track basically the historical uptime and connectivity charge success at each of our depots. One of the new things we're talking about here at the show is rolling out service plans where we'll commit to a guaranteed 98% uptime. We're using this data and real-time connectivity to collect data from the chargers to determine that. So basically, our customers can log in at any time, track their uptime. We see the same data they do, our goal is to commit to providing at least 98% for every customer. So yeah, you can dig into all the details too. Say you see something dip below that, you can dig in, see when there was an issue. This charger, these are all demo chargers, but may have gone offline earlier in the month, and so we can pinpoint exactly when that happened, and have full transparency through all the data that's provided here. We can also look at the power consumption at the site. An important aspect of charge depots is, when you're moving from a diesel, say, fleet vehicle to electric, your operational costs are now your utility bill, essentially. So helping manage that utility bill helps customers be more successful in their electrification, because they can understand their costs. So we can model the utility costs by adding the utility rates into the platform. With that data we get back from chargers, we can translate that into what their anticipated utility bill might be. It's an estimate, but it's very close. And that's going to be a function of energy and peak demand. And then we can look at that peak demand or that energy pattern and see if there's opportunities so this is an example of like the aggregate power at that site. And it will fluctuate, with as charge sessions are happening. And for anyone familiar with utility bills, the higher the peak demand, there's normally a per kilowatt cost on your demand charge. So the lower you can have that demand, the more you're going to save money. That can be quite significant depending on where you are and your utility rate. So if we see opportunities or just kind of high, really spiky, this is a fairly flat demand in this example, but it can be very spiky. Say you've got a fleet that all the vehicles come back to the depot at the same time, they all plug in, you're going to see a big instantaneous spike that will then taper off as the vehicle state of charge increases. But what you want to do is minimize that spike. You want to kind of smooth that spike out and spread the charging over a longer period of time, and you'll lower your demand charge and save money. We can do that through our system, by setting up energy management rules where we can set by different times of day, we can set what the peak demand limit will be. These are kind of the configurations here. You can kind of visualize that. You'll notice that we're actually labeling each of those times with the utility, different times of day, so winter versus summer, peak, off-peak. Makes it helpful to understand the context of what the configuration is for. This is an example with Xcel Energy and a real tariff here in this example site in Colorado. And so you can see what we'd want to do. This is kind of set up to demonstrate that during the more expensive times of day, you'd lower your peak demand or lower your demand limit to use less energy at that time. And shift your charging to these off-peak times where it's going to be cheaper. So once this is set up through the system is getting meter data from the chargers continuously during a charge session, and it will automatically allocate power to each charge port automatically to kind of meet this curve, or at least not exceed this charge curve. So by doing that, we can help reduce utility costs, make everything cheaper for our customers. And help overall have them help them have more success with their fleet electrification. There's a number of other features in here. Those are some of the key elements. We can integrate telematics. We can show data from the vehicles that tie vehicle data and charger data in one place. That helps give a more comprehensive picture of what's going on with the fleet. There's a lot of different reports that we can go in here and get people hands-on to all the data, download it in Excel, bring it into AI, bring in whatever tool you want. That's really helpful. We do that a lot internally to help manage chargers for our customers. And then there's a whole kind of remote diagnostics, remote commands that we can take. A lot of our charger knock, our team looking at the equipment remotely, we'll dig in here. Actually, I can go there. And let's see, chargers, look at an example. If I look at a specific charger, I can look at some interesting diagnostic tools. This is a nice timeline of all the different kind of activities that can happen with the charger: connectivity, uptime, maintenance periods, faults, charge sessions, all kind of laid out in a time scale that's easy for us to understand. And then we can always dig into the individual log messages, all the communications going back and forth to the chargers. Customers typically aren't looking at this stuff, but these are all, every bit of information that's possible to have from the charger, we can access through here and get and use that to do remote diagnostics and figure out what's going on with the charger if something happens. And we can also send remote commands. So we can send remotely start a charger, we can send a remote reset, we can manage sometimes we can set up a maintenance window. Sometimes in maintenance we'll set the charger to be offline proactively just to make sure no one's using it. All those different functions we can do remotely through this tool, as well as setting configurations. So chargers their behavior can be influenced through a bunch of configurations that we can manage here. So one thing we'll do when we onboard chargers is make sure the depot, we understand the customer's use case, tailor the configurations to make sure that the chargers are going to behave the way the customer expects. Should I require an RFID? Should I just start charging automatically once I plug in, which is more typical with fleets? All those different configurations, we'll manage that as part of our Camber commissioning process. Great. Yeah.
So if you want to learn more, go check us out on www.camber.com.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.